Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a magnifying glass to a phrase you have probably used, I don't know, 100 times. I'm just an introvert, right? It's become this culturally ubiquitous shield for so many of us. But today, we're going totally beyond introversion. We are uncovering the hidden logic of social anxiety.
And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, I want you to really look inward for a quick second and ask yourself a brutally honest, maybe slightly uncomfortable question. When you decide to stay in on a Friday night, are you doing it because you genuinely, deeply enjoy the peace and quiet? Or, if you're really being truthful with yourself, are you secretly hiding from the world? It is a tough distinction to make for sure, but answering this honestly, that's the key to unlocking a hidden logic that might literally be running in the background of your life without you even realizing it.
And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental dichotomy under the hood here. Because on the surface, from the outside, these two behaviors look absolutely identical. I mean, both result in you simply not doing the thing. You decline the invite, you stay on the couch. But the neurological realities occurring inside your brain are completely different. Introversion is just a personality trait. It's all about how you recharge your energy. Social anxiety, however, well, that's a neurological condition. It is entirely about how you perceive a threat in your environment. If you're an introvert, you're at home because you love the quiet. But if you're socially anxious, you're at home because you are hiding.
So what does this actually look like? How do we tell the difference? Well, the first diagnostic sign is something we like to call the 1 a.m. replay. And man, you know this painful experience all too well. Listen, if you are a true introvert, once a social event is over, it's over. You leave, you head home, and you're just perfectly happy to be alone with your thoughts. But if you're dealing with social anxiety, that social event actually doesn't end when you leave the room. No way. It's 1 a.m., the house is pitch black, totally quiet, you should be fast asleep, but instead, you are lying in bed, wide awake, literally agonizing over a single, supposedly dumb sentence you said to someone at lunch, like 12 hours ago.
And here is the incredibly frustrating, honestly almost comical part about that late night replay. The other person you were talking to, they almost certainly forgot what you said 10 minutes after it happened. They just went on with their day. But your brain? Oh, your brain is going to file that tiny, completely insignificant moment away and store it as an absolute world-ending catastrophe for the next 6 years. I mean, it sounds funny when we say it out loud like that, but that is a really heavy burden to carry. And that is not a personality preference. That is a chronic, deeply rooted fear of being perceived badly.
Now, what's really interesting is the second sign is what we call the agreeing reflex. You probably know this better as people-pleasing. It's when you find yourself laughing at jokes that just simply aren't funny, agreeing with opinions you actually hate, or saying yes to plans you absolutely do not want to attend. And you tell yourself, and everybody else, that you're just being a nice person, right? You just don't want to rock the boat. But the underlying truth here, you aren't doing it to be nice. You are doing it as a biological survival tactic to proactively lower the threat level in the room.
To really understand why we do this, we have to look at the stark biological reality inside your body. The human brain is this magnificent machine, obviously, but it has a massive, massive glitch when it comes to modern social life. It treats the possibility of social rejection exactly the same as physical danger. Like, imagine the sheer terror of being chased by a predator. That triggers a huge cortisol spike and a primal survival response, right? Well, your brain triggers that exact same cortisol spike and that exact same survival response just because someone might disagree with you at a dinner party. Your body's literally preparing to fight or flee over social perception.
Because your brain legitimately thinks it's in mortal danger. It triggers our third sign, which is masking. This is the exhausting, just relentless process of becoming a completely different, fragmented version of yourself in every single room you enter. You essentially put on a disguise, a literal mask, to protect yourself from the perceived predator of social rejection. So you carefully curate your words, you change your posture, your opinions, all based entirely on who is standing right in front of you.
The end result of all this is that you become a deeply fragmented person. I mean, just think about the massive cognitive load you're carrying around every single day. You have to manage the work version of you, the family version, and the friend version. You're constantly actively performing whichever identity you think that specific group wants to see in that exact moment. And let me tell you, that takes an immense amount of energy. You spend so much brain power managing this presentation that eventually your social battery isn't just low, it is totally dead. You drain yourself until you simply stop wanting to see people at all. And naturally, that brings us right into a really vicious cycle, the social avoidance trap. Let's walk through these steps together because it's a devious little loop. Step 1, You cancel those plans because the interaction just feels like it's going to cost way more energy than you have. Step 2, you feel this immediate wave of temporary relief. You breathe a big sigh of relief because the immediate threat is gone, right? But Step 3 is the kicker. Because you stay at home, your brain never gets the data it needs to learn that the outside world is actually safe. Which leads inevitably to Step 4. The anxiety gets worse. The ultimate coping mechanism here, staying home, literally starves your brain of the exact data it needs to heal. It's tough. It really is. Because here is the absolute cruelest irony of this entire exhausting process. You think this mask is protecting you. You tell yourself, hey, I'm just a quiet homebody, I'm flying under the radar. But the reality? Everyone usually notices the obvious discomfort anyway. They see the constant adjusting, the nervous laughter, the subtle photo dodging when someone pulls out a camera. The thing you are trying so incredibly hard to hide stops being this cute little personality quirk. Instead, it just reveals to the room how badly you are actually hiding your fear. Let's move to the next part of this and see how it builds, because obviously we can't just leave it there. So what does this all mean? What is the actual fix? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's not signing up for some new social skills course, and it's definitely not buying a better skincare routine to try and boost your confidence. No, we need to shift our entire paradigm here. We have to stop treating this like some ingrained, unchangeable personality trait, and we have to start treating it like the biological condition it actually is.
It's kind of wild when you really step back and think about it. The fundamental truth here is that your brain's alarm system is just reading old data. It is literally reacting to a modern, everyday social gathering as if you're wandering through a prehistoric landscape full of deadly threats. Overcoming this doesn't mean forcing yourself to suddenly become this loud, boisterous extrovert. It means systematically and deliberately updating your brain's threat assessment software.
So how exactly do you run that update? Well, by giving your brain concrete, brand new data. You have to rewire the alarm, and that means doing the exact opposite of hiding. First, it means letting yourself be seen unedited. No mask, none. Second, it means taking a deep breath and maybe even saying the wrong thing on purpose just to see what happens. And third, and honestly most importantly, it means sitting in that momentary, terrifying discomfort until you realize, wait, the world didn't end. You survived. You essentially prove to your brain that you can in fact exist without the protective mask.
So the crucial point we really need to hammer home here is perfectly captured by this powerful realization: you can't introvert your way out of a survival reflex. If these patterns sounded a little too familiar to you today, it's time to remove the stigma. We got to stop calling it just a personality trait. It is a condition. But you know what the incredibly empowering part is? It's a condition that actually responds to work. You have to actively face the fear to rewrite the code in your brain.
The real work begins the exact day you stop hiding behind a polite label and start stepping into the light as your true, authentic self. So I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to take with you. How will you show up unedited tomorrow? Just think of one small, actionable way you can drop the mask and give your brain that crucial new data. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep challenging those hidden mechanisms, and I'll catch you next time.